So what was it like to work for Donald Trump? Well, apparently Michael Cohen had a few words. Now, earlier today was the sentencing for Trump's former fixer and personal lawyer, Michael Cohen. Now, he faced, of course, years in prison for some crimes that included tax violations, lying to banks, and famously buying silence during the 2016 campaign of women who claimed they had once had affairs with President Trump. So that's Stormy Daniels, Karen McDougal. And earlier today, by the way, National Enquirer publisher AMI admitted that yes, they were, with Cohen's help, suppressing stories on behalf of President Trump. And that, of course, was Karen McDougal. So now he was given a total of 3 years behind bars. So let me just, I don't have that. Okay, damn. Hey, we got him. Ladies and gentlemen, we got him. He is now, Michael Cohen is now heading to prison. So lock him up. Lock him up. That's exactly what's going to happen. Now, what's interesting is that if this had gone to trial, he could have faced up to 65 years in prison. And for the plea deal, it would have been a maximum of 5 years from what he ultimately pled guilty to. Now, because of that plea deal and the sentencing memo from the Mueller team, he was able to get that sentence substantially reduced down to 3 years. Now, that shows, of course, that he was a big help to the Mueller investigation and for the Southern District of New York. So those are two different investigations. One is a local investigation, the other is a federal investigation. So there's a very important distinction on that, right? For example, for the New York investigation, you can't have a presidential pardon. It's just because it's a state matter. Whereas on the federal investigation, the Mueller investigation, he could have actually gotten a pardon. So that's it's important to point out that distinction. Now, getting to what it was like to work under President Trump. Prior to his sentencing, he told the court, he made an address to court, and he talked about that. Well, first he said, I take full responsibility for each act that I pled guilty to. The personal ones for me, and for the President of the United States of America. So directly pointing out President Trump. That's very important because he's out in the open saying, I did criminal acts and I got caught and I'm getting punished for those acts on behalf of the president. He also says, I have been living in a personal and mental incarceration ever since the day that I accepted the offer to work for a real estate mogul whose business acumen that I deeply admired. Business acumen. Hilarious, right? Now, recently, the president tweeted a statement calling me weak, and it was correct, but for a much different reason than he was implying. It was because time and time again, I felt it was my duty to cover up his dirty deeds. Today is one of the most meaningful days of my life. The irony is that today, I get my freedom back. Wow. Finally, he says, blind loyalty to this man led me to choose a path of darkness over light. That is probably the most interesting speech I've ever read. When it's, in regards to the president and to someone basically getting sentenced. I've never seen anything like this before. Now, of course, look, here's the thing about this, and I'm going to go a little harsh on the analysis here. So those are flowery words. Again, they're powerful, but also very flowery. And let's not forget that Cohen is a bit of a snake. And I've said this before, and I will continue to say it, because look, while he did get information to the Mueller investigation, which apparently is very helpful, he didn't give everything to the prosecutors that they wanted. Now, that actually had a significant impact on him asking for a reduced sentence. Yes, he did get a slightly reduced sentence, but they didn't go with the Mueller team guidelines, which asked for no jail time. And of course, Cohen himself was asking for no jail time. The judge disagreed. This is Judge William H. Pauley III, and he said in his ruling that, quote, Mr. Cohen selected the information he disclosed to the government. So he wasn't forthright with everything or forthcoming with everything. And he said, the court cannot agree with the defendant's assertion that no jail time is warranted. In fact, this court firmly believes that a significant term of imprisonment is fully justified in this highly publicized case to send a message. Now, what message is that? Well, there's actually a couple that you can take away from this. For one, if you're going to cooperate, then cooperate fully. You can't just pick and choose what you want to be involved in. You just got to come out with everything that you know. Michael Cohen did not. Again, he came out with a lot of stuff, but not everything. And so the prosecutors and the judge knew that, and they're like, well, look, even though you were a substantial help, you still should serve prison time. And there you go. I can't disagree with that. Now, the other message is, if you do cooperate, you will get rewarded. Now, that message isn't directed towards Michael Cohen. That message is directed to others who might look into doing plea deals with the Mueller team or the Southern District of New York, where, of course, you can definitely go after Trump much better than you could for when it comes to a federal investigation. Both of those things, obviously, though, are still devastating to the president. Now, Cohen's lawyer also said he will continue to cooperate with the investigations into Trump, which, again, I don't know for certain if that's going to be the case, how much he'll cooperate, based on the fact that he didn't fully cooperate before. But who knows, right? Maybe he is actually serious about this now that he's getting prison time and not just trying to go for a plea deal, which he had already received. So we'll see what happens on this. But what a big turn. I mean, who would have thought a year ago that Donald Trump's personal lawyer would have done a complete 180 and now calls working for him a mental prison? This is somebody who said he would have taken a bullet for the president before he was president, right? I don't know, to me, it's almost as if he realized as of late that he was in a abusive relationship with a narcissistic asshole. Somebody with narcissistic personality disorder. Which, look, would likely fit. And I'm no mental health expert, obviously. And I'm not doing like a weird Fox diagnosis or anything like that. But the guy seems like he's a narcissist and definitely has something wrong with him, in my opinion. And that's just based on what I see. And I think you guys see the same thing, right? So, but that's exactly what seems like it happened, right? Now that he's away from that person with that narcissism, he's like, oh my God, look at what he made me, look at what I wanted to do for this guy. I put myself in danger. I put my family, and I am now having to serve prison time for this lunatic, for this idiot, this asshole that I covered for so many years. So it is interesting, at least to think about that aspect, because I couldn't imagine somebody actually being a friend to Donald Trump to someone like that. I just couldn't imagine it. Now, as far as the sentencing goes, I cannot wait to see what happens in the next sentencing. That is Michael Flynn. And I wonder if he, too, will get jail time. It would depend, of course, on how much he cooperated and what the judge ultimately rules. So, but as far as the Mueller thing goes, this investigation this week just keeps getting better and better. Or if you're Donald Trump, worse and worse. Hey guys, hopefully you enjoyed that free video. Now I'm going to have to ask you a favor. Between the demonetization and the YouTube algorithm messing around with view counts, etc., we're having a hard time adjusting to the new YouTube reality, which is where you guys come in. See, we have a Patreon, patreon.com/TYTNation, set up to help us rely on you guys, the viewers, instead of big corporate ads. Look, You know the show. You know how I'm not in favor of big corporations anyway. So help us transition away from relying on the ad model to pay the bills and sign up to be a patron, patreon.com/TYTNation. That goes a long way to help us keep the lights on. And you guys will know that you're supporting independent progressive media.